Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey guys, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? Yeah, don't know why, but I guess because I'm Curious George or whatever. But they've been having me work on this since Friday, and I know the story. Well, I was kind of, you know, seen a lot of this story on the news. What happened? What Charles Manson did, the whole 9 yards. And I want to say this: if I'm offending anybody in any way by doing this, please let me know, and I will take this down. Um, they have me starting on his life before he was born, and they having me check out Cincinnati, Ohio itself, the whole Cincinnati. Okay, who owned it before all of this happened? Didn't give me no new glasses, but I could see. So bear with me. Um, go back to who owned the land before and what happened. How did they get the land? And yeah, okay. I kept hearing some call. I don't know if I heard of somebody say it. Love recline. We'll come back to that. I don't know. Not recline. Recine. And I looked it up. Okay. Let me see. Um, I don't know if I heard somebody say that or what. Sometimes stuff can stick in your head. Hey, Maze. Good morning. Strange subject, huh? But it's, something they had me do, and I gotta follow through. What does that mean? I know I had it down. Um, okay, I'm not gonna look for that. Anyway, I'll look for it later. It says that these certain type of Indians own the land first. Okay. Um, let me go back from the beginning. And the story went. It says Progressive Solving Women of America is the ethnic fraternal benefit and social organization of solvent immigrant women and their descendants in the United States, founded in 1934. Is okay. He was born in 1934. So, okay, I'm tripping. Um, okay, go back to okay, okay. Oh, that's that it. That's it right there. I read this later. Oh, that love recent racing Racine is faith, hope, and love. I don't know why that was on my mind, but anyway, why did I hear that? It means root of a tree. Have no idea why. I guess we'll find out, huh? So the land was owned by Native Americans first, okay, where he grew up. And it says American Indians of the prehistoric period that inhabited what is now Cincinnati included Hopewell and Adena culture, Adena. Later, the Osage natives, the Swanee natives, and the Miami natives arrived. um, it says Cincinnati got its name from 5th century BC Roman soldiers and hero Lucidus Quintus Cincinnatus. So they named it after a Roman soldier. Um, Roman hero who saved the city from crisis and then retired to his farm rather than rule. His name is a cognomen in the gens octaquinta, meaning literally with curly hair, from Latin Cincinnatus curly hair, related Cincinnatus. So we know he was probably mixed with black, okay? I don't know how you put it, but of course the Romans, Italians are have black in them. Okay, most everybody do, but we all together. But Romans, the Italians are closer to us, to melanated people uh, than ever, because they was, we were them, whatever, whatever. Okay. So we know it was owned by the Indian people. It's called the City of Hills. Hills form a crescent from the east bank of the Ohio River to the west bank. Mount Adams, Walnut Hill, Mount Auburn, Vane Street Hill, College Hill, Fairmont, and Mount Harrison. It was the native land of the indigenous Algonquian speaking tribes, including the Delaware, Miami, and Swanee tribes. Um, I was trying to see what happened to them. Of course, we know the last Indians on Ohio were removed in 1843 via the treaty with the Wyandots, 1842, by which the reservation at Upper Sandusky was ceded to the United States. What does ceded mean? Seized to United States. So we know by that meaning that they sodomized them and took over the land. Okay. Okay. Wait a minute before I go to that. So they took it from the Indians. And matter of fact, somebody said that no Indians live there anymore. Okay. So we'll go to City of Seven Hills. So I read the Seven Hills. Let me see. Since it says is Cincinnati known for historically. Cincinnati's location on the border between the free state of Ohio and the slave state of Kentucky made it a prominent location for slaves to escape the slave owning South. Many prominent abolitionists also called Cincinnati their home during their period and made it a popular stop on the Underground Railroad. Okay. So slaves also went through there. Okay. through history. Cincinnati has been known as the Queen City since at least 1819. That's when the nickname first made it into the newspapers, but it was probably already passed around on the streets. That's all. Also, when Cincinnati, founded in 1788, was first incorporated as a city. Um, what's so great about Cincinnati? The city used to be referred to as Paris of America. It's known for its gorgeous agriculture, museums, theaters, and naturally recognized colleges and universities. Cincy is a great place to receive an education, start or continue a career, or raise a family. Excuse me. Um, okay. Okay, it's talking about more of the Mohicans lived in Ohio. So the Mohican River was historically known as Mohican John Creek or Mohican John's River, among other variations. A number of Mohicans immigrated from Connecticut to Ohio in 1762 under the guidance of their chief, Mohican John. Big John. Big Bad John. What does Ohio mean in Native American? Ohio means beautiful river. Ohio Indians word meaning the river of the same name, beautiful river, taken from the river of the same name, Oklahoma. Shatta Indians word meaning red people. I noticed they was it's also famous for pigs, so they had a lot of wild pigs. That's where the phrase "when pigs fly" uh, was originated. What does the flying pig symbol? When pigs fly is a way of saying that something will never happen. The phrase is often used for humorous effect to scotch at over ambition, scoff over. There are numerous variations on the theme when an individual with a reputation for failure finally succeeds. Onlookers may sarcastically claim to see a flying pig. So that's a downer. Um, okay, we mentioned the Seven Hills. So it was originally inhabited by the Erie, Kickapoo, and Swanee. The first two both resided in areas near modern day Taldo. The Cherokees overland route ran from the southern Tennessee into southwestern Kentucky. Then they crossed the Ohio River into southern Illinois and crossed the Mississippi River through southern Missouri and finally to Indian Territory. Uh, how many flying pigs are in Cincinnati? The pigs stopped 4 fake steamboat smokestacks were designed in 1988. They represented angelic spirits of all pigs slaughtered in Cincinnati, Pocopolas, and set down the river. Cincinnati's winged pigs are a notable omission in roadside America. Okay, I'm trying to make sure I read all this. So it was very big selling pig. They traded with each other, and then after they took over the land, they did as well. Before I get started on him, I want to talk about the family and more on the land and what happened to his mom and why she was pregnant with him, what was going on. Also, let's see. Okay, I thought I had it. Okay. What happened to the Indians in Cincinnati, Ohio?
According to Greater Cincinnati Native American Coalition, in the 1830s the Shawnee were forced to move from the Ohio River Valley to Indian Territory, which is now known as Oklahoma. They still live there to this day.
Okay, so what happened? So they destroyed the path for them to do whatever they were doing. Okay. Okay, so we know that part. Okay, now let me go in order. So it was owned by Indians first. So we know they took the land. Okay. So who took over the land from in Cincinnati, Ohio from the Indians? History of Cincinnati. Cincinnati began with the settlement of Columbia, Lonsonville, and North Bend in the Northwest Territory of the United States, beginning in dated December 1788. The following year, Fort Washington, named for George Washington, was established to protect the settlers. So when George Washington came, um, it was chartered as a town in 1802 and then incorporated as a city in 1819 when it was first called Queen of the West, located on the Ohio River. The city prospered as it met the needs of westward bound pioneers who traveled on the river. It had 30 warehouses to supply military and civilian traders, travelers, and had hotels, restaurants, and taverns to meet their lodging and dining needs. Cincinnati became the sixth largest city in the United States with a population of blah, blah, blah. In 1850, before the Civil War, it was an important stop on the Underground Railroad. Due to the defense of Cincinnati, there was never a shot fired in the city during the Civil War. So we know when uh, Rambo, you can't even see my teeth. They say teeth. Go play Rambo. All right. So yeah. Um. Oh, I was gonna say. So I don't know if y'all know that the Moors, the Black Moors from England and the other side, helped George Washington get here because it goes back to family. Okay, brothers taking over territory of the land. Some brothers, they would trade in or whatever for whatever reason, our family get into it or whatever, jealous of the other brother, whatever. So they decided to clean up the people. Remember, I don't know if y'all follow me, the people I was talking about that lived in the caves and they became white skinned and stuff like that, and they ignored them, and they had leprosy. They shunned them to the caves. That's one scenario. It's a lot of scenarios. And anyway, so when they got ready to conquer a brother that was maybe doing better than them, for whatever reason, they cleaned these Caucasian type people, taught them etiquette, because when they're in the caves, they was living very brutal type lives. They would, go to bed with their daughters, and animals stayed there, go to bed with animals. They were real brutal because, it had no civilization. The ancestors just ignored them and shunned them to the caves, uh, and the ice age and all that kind of stuff. You know how cruel stuff can be. And so when they got ready to use them, they cleaned them up, etiquette them and everything, and showed them what to do, educated them and all that kind of stuff to come over here to America and take over um, some of the territory. And really, they met with it was a black president already here. It wasn't just uncivilized. There was black presidents going on. It was very sophisticated. Some parts had the Indians in it, which were very sophisticated as well. But a lot of history don't show that. They're just not beginning to show a lot of that. But I'm pretty sure we travel. That's why I want to travel. You see more and you understand more books. But anyway, this is what I got from reading my research for years. And so when they came over here, and whatever treaty they made with the black president here, they allowed George Washington to be president. Kind of went a little bit too far, whatever, however it is. But of course, all of them were mixed and were black. Like I said, the leprosy took over the whole 9 yards, but they don't want to say all that. But anyway, so when he took over, what I was trying to say about that. The Moors, they yeah, that was something to say about that. So they showed them how to get over here. Okay. And they, because the Moors and people over here were trading way before Christopher Columbus, the whole 9 yards was trading. That was just how it go, because they were family. We all family. And as we keep going against each other, the Mother Earth, we mess it up. We all know that the storms and America and Africa and all of that, the Eastern was not a big old ocean between, and it could, we looking at the maps, and that could be, like I say, the maps are fake. So they were allowed to come over back and forth because it was all called the motherland or whatever. So anyway, okay, little history. So, important industry through its history included meat packing, iron production, steamboat repair and construction, carriage manufacturing, woodwork, cloth production, and engines. During World War One and Two, Cincinnatians rallied to serve in the military, manufactured and produced supplies needed by the military, conserved scarce foods by Liberty bonds, and donate to relief funds. There were increased opportunities for women and blacks during World War II, which ultimately shifted their social position after the war. The city is now an region and national headquarters for many organizations. Okay. From 900 to 1600 CE, during the late prehistoric period, a cultural group called the Fort Ancient People lived in southwest Ohio. Swanee, as well as Solon speakers such as the Muskpika and Tutelo, are believed by some scholars to be their descendants, were hunter-gatherers who established villages during the summers and followed the hunted animal populations in winter throughout the Ohio River Valley. Men hunted and protected their tribes while women gathered food and farmed crops. Their constructive wigwams from lodging in the village. Like other tribes in Ohio, the Ojibwe, Miami, and Lenape people, their language is the Algonquian languages. Their way of life changed beginning in the mid 1600s as the people of Europe descend encroached on their hunting and summer lands and became competitors of Europeans and other Native American tribes in the ensuing fur trade of British and French fur traders. The options for redress were to search for unoccupied land, destroy colonial settlements, or fight. Many Swanee and other tribes were temporarily driven out of Ohio beginning in 1640s by the Iroquois Confederacy, who hunted deer, beaver, and other fur bearing animals, according to the state of Ohio's Ohio Memory Historical Research Site. The Swanee and other tribes with claims to Ohio lands could return in 1701 when the Treaty of Grand PAIX ended the IROQUOIS campaign in the Ohio country, but American Indians continued to struggle with other tribes against the colonies over land disputes. The Swanee supported the French during the French and Indian War in 1754 and 1763. There were continual land disputes and treaties in the 18th century. Members of OJIBWA, LENAPE, Owata, and Swanee tribes formed a alliance with the Miami tribe, led by Little Turtle, in a fight for their land. Ultimately, after the Battle of the Washba, WABASH, and the Battle of Fallen Timbers, 1794, 11 tribes signed the Treaty of Greenville in 1794, which forced them to relinquish most of their land. So, of course, they came with all their stuff. See, the Treaty of Greenville formed by the Treaty of the Wyandots, etc. WYANDOTS was in 1795 treaty between the United States and indigenous nations of Northwest Territory, now Midwest United States, including the Wyandot Delaware peoples that redefined the boundary between indigenous people, lands, and territory for European American community settlements. It was signed at Fort Greenville, now Greenville, Ohio, on August 3rd, 1794, following the Native American loss at the Battle of Fallen Timbers a year earlier. It ended the Northwest Indian War in Ohio country, limited Indian country to Northwest Ohio, and began the practice of annual payments following the land concessions. The parties to the treaty were a coalition of Native American tribes known as the Western Confederacy, a United States government represented by General Anthony Wayne and local frontiersmen. The treaty became synonymous with the end of the Fort Frontier in that part of the Northwest Territory that would become the new state of Ohio. General Mad Anthony Wayne, who had led the U.S. Army victory at Fallen Timbers and a subsequent scorched earth campaign of destroying villages, led the U.S. government de- delegation. Other members include William Wells, William Henry Harris, William Clark, blah, blah. Native American leaders who signed the treaty included leaders of those bands and tribes. So we got a lot of them. I don't believe they signed shit. Me. Following their defeat at Fallen Timbers, Wayne had courted the favor of several key leaders within the Western Confederacy Blue Jacket. The Swanee War chief, who had led the Native American force at Fallen Timbers, encouraged others to accept Wayne's terms for peace, declared that the victory at Fallen Timbers was evidence that the Great Spirit favored the United States. Opposition to the United States was led by Little Turtle, who ironically had advised against engaging Wayne at Fallen Timbers. For a week, Wayne urged the native tribes to accept peace based on previous terms at the Treaty of Fort McIntosh, Treaty of Fort Finan, and Treaty of Fort Harmar. But Little Turtle countered that the Miami tribe were not party to these treaties and would not recognize them, and that they were invalid because they were made with people who had no right to the lands that had sold. Hello. Wayne revealed that the U.S. Senate had recently ratified the Jay Treaty, ensuring that Great Britain would no longer provide aid to the Native Americans. They didn't do that in the first damn place. They would trade see the trickery of it all. Well, no, okay. Uh, conf- they confirmed that previous treaties had been signed by chiefs who were at Greenville and warned his fellow ingenuous tribal leaders that Wayne had the military power. Yeah, so we already know the story that so they took their land, which they did to a lot, but they were sent here. The treaty was signed by President George Washington and the Senate. Okay. The Greenville Treaty Line. Okay. Trying to see if there's anything different. Okay, so all right. Now we go from there to more up to date. Okay. Um, so now we come to what else was going on there? Before I get to him. So big companies were there. Um, The first FBI office, Procter and Gamble, all these big companies start coming in. Okay, and growing the city. Matter of fact, the year that 1934 that he was born, that was the year that they killed Bonnie and Clyde. Okay, I mean they killed him in May, so his mama was May, June, July, August, September, October, November. So his mama was 2 months pregnant. Okay, I don't know where they killed him at. Did they? Where did they kill? Let me ask that question. What state was Bonnie and Clyde killed in 1934?
Louisiana.
Oh, they was killed
According
in
to FBI,
Louisiana.
Clyde Champion Barrow and his companion, Bonnie Parker, were shot to death by officers in an ambush near Salis, Bienville Parish, Louisiana on May 23, 1934, after one
Okay.
of the most colorful and spectacular manhunts the nation had seen up to that time.
Okay. So that was going on. Um, what else was going on during that time? The norm, the base, the football was going on. What else was going on? The trading, like we talked about. What is this? Black business directory. So it had a lot of black businesses. You heard they were trading, they were coming. So they basically took over the land, and a lot of the black people that were came from also the Moors. Also, like I say, was a black president here, and a lot of things start coming through, and making the slavery. I know some of the history, but they're not telling us all of the history. Uh, famous for the chili ice cream, Greta's ice cream. So everything started prospering, building. Hillsville, okay. Meatpacking industries, all this started blooming. Okay. On top of land that they sodomized and stole. Okay. Okay, so his mom, family, mom and dad, trying to get to that point. We're mixed culture like most of us, came from Ireland and stuff like that. Let me get to that part. Oh, also in that is they sold steel. Oh, wait a minute. Oh no, this ain't it. Um, So his last Manson is a Scottish name, Scandinavian. Let me ask the question. What were the names of Charles Manson's mother's parents? Catherine Murdoch. Oh no, that was his mom. I said Charles Manson's grandparents. That's what I should have said. Before we get to his father, read a little about the grandma and them. What was Charles Manson's grandparents' name?
Here is information from Works.com.
Ancestry of Charles Manson. Grandparents. Walker Henderson Scott from Kentucky. Ashland from Kentucky. Wait a minute now, this. Okay, let me go back. Okay, his grandparents, Walker Henderson Scott. Um, okay, they got all four of them. Scott, Klein, Madoc, and Ingram. Kentucky, 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 Kentucky. Okay, let's see. I'm just going to do the recent ones. And where's this? Look up with the Scott. Last name, Klein. Last name, Medoc. Last name, Ingram. What culture is the Scott last name?
According to Wikipedia,
So we got
Scott is a surname of
Scottish.
Scottish origin.
Okay, so that was one grandpa. And that's Scandinavian. Okay. Ireland. Oh, English. Okay, now we got the Cline. The Klein is German. Roland. In pre-medieval time, the German people used only one name. Okay. So that was German. And Irish. Okay. Then we got the Murdoch, whatever, Maddox. Welsh origin, has a roots in ancient Welsh male name Matop, meaning fortunate, which has survived the Welsh first name Mad Dog. Recently popularized in America by Brad Pitt, and Angelina Jolie. So we know the Welsh family is pretty rich. Um, we'll look at them in a minute. Surname Welsh. So meaning mad. Okay. Origin of Wales. That's another rich family. Mad Dog was a legendary Welsh prince who, in Welsh folklore, sailed to the New World 300 years before Christopher Columbus. Son of Madoc, Wales, Wales, and Welch, Welch. So his family, they were. This is not the mom's people. This is the mom's grandmother and grandpa. Medoc, that name he got it from. They were rich folks. Okay. Then let's see what Ingram. Ingram is Anglo-American, Anglo-Norman, Old French, ancient Germanic, Manic, from the hierarch name elements seen in such names as Ingo, whatever, Raven, meaning raven. So it's English for England or whatever, England. German origin, meaning angel's raven. Hmm. Swiss also. It asks the question, is Ingram an Indian name? It says name Ingram is a Swiss origin and a girl name. Anglo-Saxon descendant speaking Ireland, Scotland, and Wales in early times, and to found its many medieval manuscript between these countries. So Anglo-Saxon, Scottish, Wales. So all of them kind of go together. Okay. So his family was not poor people, put it like that. Okay. So now we get to the mom and dad. Okay. Shoot. Grandparents. So what about the mom's life? She was 16 years old when she had him. So let's see. Now, during her pregnancy, we know at 2 months, Bonnie and Clyde, it wasn't around him, but okay, at 6 months, I was trying to find that part. The temperature was so hot that it was killing people. And even when they tried to get in the pool, the sun was so hot that it made the water hot. They couldn't even cool off. They had no air conditioners during that time. And at night they would go and sleep in the park to try to stay cool. So her being 6 months pregnant at that time, that was a lot. Oh, I put it, that must have been at the end. Okay. Okay. So his father, wait a minute, let me finish her. What was her name? Her name was Catherine. Kathleen. I know somebody named Kathleen. I was trying to find her name, yeah. I was trying to see what kind of relationship she had with her parents. Because getting married at 16, if anybody know the Caucasian lifestyle back then was very, even now, because, we go back to the Adam and Eve stage, blah, 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 being submissive. It's a no not to have a father in the house, which, should be every culture, but especially theirs. And you are, as the bastard child comes in. So, and then she got pregnant early and didn't get married later. So, of course, there might have been a lot of, you know what I'm saying, putting her down. So we all know when somebody does that while you're pregnant, it's going to affect the child. Okay. So whatever happens to the mom, it's going to affect the child, period. Not making excuses for this man, what he did, none of that. I'm just The reason why I think they have me doing this is because for the signs that you can see for your life, those that are going through these things and those that are happening, how that the environment plays a big part, and we all know that, and how control, you know, um, plays a big part as well. It starts back from the root. I think that's why they had that name come up. Love, what I said at first, it was root. It means starting from the root. Well, I'll tell you, they be on point. They be on point, I tell you. Okay, let's see. Let's see, can I pull that up? But I'm not. I did so much. The life of Charles Manson's mother. She was born January 11th. That's making her a what? Capricorn? 1919. 1010, huh? Okay. And then 11. Master number. 2. Okay. January being the first. 1, 11, 11, 10, 10. So shit. Okay. In Moorhead, Kentucky. She died July 31st, 1973. January, March, April, May, June, July, which is 7, 31, 10, 10. Check that out. 10, 10 again. 1973, 10, 10 again. And then July 7, 10, 11. Damn, y'all, check that out. She was born 1/11, 1919. Okay, so we got 11 as the master number and 1 being alone. And then 1919 is 1010. Then she died the 7th, 31, which is equals to 11, which is from her January equals 11, right? And then 1973 is 1010. Damn. So what the hell that mean? Destined, predestined, or what? That's something. It equals to the same thing she was born. Hmm. So she died in Spokane, Washington, or Wisconsin, WA, whatever that means. Grandchildren grandchild Charles Manson Jr., Valerie Michael Manson, Charles Luther Manson. Children Charles Manson. Oh, so she only had one son, spouse William Manson. So his dad name was William Manson. So they didn't marry, so she didn't have his last name. So they ain't telling too much about him, of course not. Let's see. See if we can find what happened to Manson's mother. Let's see if we can read the history. She gave birth to Charles Manson. The story of Manson's mother, Kathleen. They say that Jack the Ripper, the infamous serial killer, unfortunate prostitutes in London's Whitechapel district, gave birth to the 20th century. Might be. His crime spirit spanned 1888, 1891, and has never been solved. Yeah, he was put out by them forces. Y'all know that, put out by them forces. But then look at what told them forces. He told the humans, or the humans, whatever, getting that power, sodomizing, taking people land, killing people off. Y'all know the story, slavery, the whole 9 yards, and everybody been slavery. Every culture has been a slave, except for Canada. I think it's ain't up in a slave. But anyway, so it's nothing but boomerang effect. It's gonna come back, and sometime it come back with a vengeance. But what if you gave birth to 20th century most notorious man? What if you were the mother of Charles Manson? Charles Mills Manson was born November 12, 1934 in Cincinnati, Ohio, to a 15-year-old red-headed runaway named Catherine Maddox. So why did she run away from her family? Well, we can see over here her family was kind of well off. So I'm not trying to disrespect, but most of the time, they didn't respect their children. They went to bed with their children as well. You know, um, there were certain rules that they have to follow. So that's why I was questioning this. Was she really pregnant from this guy, or was it a family member? Um, his father was named Colonel Colony Scott. Okay. Okay, that Manson must have been. I don't know what that came from. Anyway, and a laborer married to another woman. Shortly after delivering young Charles, Kathleen married a man named Manson. So they just briefly. Now I did hear the history on him. He was like a traveling salesman or whatever. So they say he was married already. And he lied and told her he was like in the army or whatever, and he had to leave, but he never came back. So he just basically, okay, got her pregnant and left. So and they say he was a con artist. Okay. So we got a fighting young girl, a runaway, whatever happened at home, right? She didn't want to be there. And I think her brother was a big influence. He the one helped her steal, which ended up her in jail. But we'll get to that in a minute. Then she married a man named Manson, giving her a son a legitimate name. His birth certificate simply read "No Name Maddox." So see what I'm saying? No name Maddox. If you don't have a father present during those days, they were very hard against children. And then, of course, he went to school. Everybody been bullied. He was bullied the whole 9 yards. I'm pretty sure because he didn't have no daddy. Blah blah blah. And different kids can be just as cruel because they hear what parents say, right? They say what you saying at home. Them kids listening, and in the stomach while you gasping, rubbing your stomach with your friends, talking about people. Them children getting all that in. So you wonder why they come out messy. You did it. Catherine was from Ashland, Kentucky, the youngest born to a devotingly religious couple, impulsive and rebellious. She'd run off to the big city not long before getting pregnant. Okay, so she was rebellious, so he was too. So something she didn't like about home, impulsive. Of course, they're gonna make the child look, she running away that early. So something, yeah, you got kids that are made to go off on their own, whether no matter how good you do them, but you also got other things too. So I don't know if she ran away, because of not having a child, and she was from religious home, so a whole lot of that, and then how they look in the neighborhood, how the parents feeling about it, and how they looked in the neighborhood. Okay. She ran off to the big city not long before getting pregnant. Kathleen Murdoch was at best a juvenile delinquent and at worst an alcoholic prostitute. Wow. So they didn't turn this girl to a really okay. Damn. She was also a neglectful mother. Once she gave little Charles to a friendly cocktail waitress in exchange for a beer. She left the boy with the woman for several days. Okay, so I'm pretty sure after all of this stuff growing up, because I'm thinking, okay, she might have been pregnant for the guy. I'm not gonna say that she was not, you know, but I'm just saying, I know a lot of that family members, be going to bed with their children. Oh, okay. So she went to prostitution, probably no money, whatever. Okay. Confused, she's so young, want to still live her life. Um, uh, okay, so she gave her child to a cocktail waitress to exchange for a beer. So she was getting drunk. She was out of her mind, whatever, feeling unloved, isolated, abandoned, whatever. Okay. So we all can get that from that, right? The marriage to Senior Mason did not last. Kathleen continued to party and to run or follow the law. Okay, so she at that point, she probably didn't even feel like she deserved love, period. They didn't say what he did to her, if he did anything. He could have just truly loved her, but she was so lost or whatever. So she stayed in that state of mind. She was arrested in 1939 for armed robbery, a crime she committed with her brother Luther. She was sentenced for 5 years in prison, and her son was remanded to Kathleen's sister care. So that was her sister. Okay, so she went to jail for armed robbery. I heard it was her and her brother, so they were still young. Her and her brother used some ketchup things to put in their pocket to pretend like they were robbing somebody. So her brother, Luther, 5 years. So she was going 5 years out of his life. Okay, prison. Went to sister care. Okay, so he went to stay with his aunt. Aunt Glenna, and her husband Bill lived in West Virginia with their daughter Joanne. So they had a daughter named Joanne, and 3 years older than her cousin. Is a small mining town south of Wheeling, close enough to penitentiary in Mountsville. So they live by penitentiary, Ohio, where Kathleen was serving. Okay. Linda and Bill wanted Charlie to see his mother as frequently as possible, so they took him to jail to see his mother. He later wrote that the big stones were like the temple of a solemn place. I never realized I would spend my life in such temples of suffering. The Mason family, story to the story. Wow. So that had a big impact on him seeing her in jail. Catherine's full name was Ada Kathleen Murdoch, and she was born January 11th. Okay. Her father, Charles Mills Murdoch, a railroad conductor, and little Charlie's namesake, had died in 1931 when Kathleen was just 12 years old. So her real daddy passed away when she was 12, leaving his widow, Nancy Lorraine Ingram, with four children, three girls, one boy. The eldest was 19. Kathleen was rebellious indeed, and yet she was close to her family, relying upon them to raise her son while she served her time. When Charles was 8 years old, Kathleen was released from prison and took a job at a bar. She regained custody of her son, but soon developed that he had grown manipulative and larcenous during her years of incarceration. So he was 8 when she got out. And his mind was already mischievous, manipulative. So he came from a family of manipulators. Um, he would skip school, beg for money on the street to spend on penny candy. So he wasn't probably getting on. And she probably barely making it. So he learned how to develop the hustle and guilt trapped his mom whenever she tried to get him under control. So he was just basically a broken child, broken boy by that time. And I'm pretty sure in school they were picking on him. No, I told you about that. Okay. Um, Colleen decided, because I did read, if I could find it again, that he got in a lot of fights in school. He was manipulative. He could control mostly the girls' mind. So I think in his little cult thing, he had mostly women, and he would get them to do different little things at school, and it was at elementary. So he was very wise. Scorpio is manipulative, obsessive, controlling. That's dark side. Okay, I mean, you know, but that's anybody could be that way. But I'm just saying, he was a Scorpio. Kathleen decided that he needed a proper father, and she went out husband hunting. So she didn't love the person. She just figured her child needed a male figure. It's okay, but her looks and charisma had faded in recent years, though she was just 23 years old. And it is rumored that she resorted to petty theft and prostitution to survive. Luckily, the law was on her side this time, and police never identified her in any crimes. So she was a criminal herself. because of whatever went on, got her to this state. But finally, in August 1945, she married a man named Louis Cavender, stepdad. At West Virginia circus worker. So he worked for the circus, who had recently gotten out of the army. Kathleen's hope for a happy family was soon dashed when she saw that Lewis was just not father material. So she back where she started from. Nor could keep a job. So probably was fighting, arguing, blah blah blah. Nor could be stay sober. So he was drunk too, no job, and not father material. So this put icing on the cake for the little boy, right? But she was determined to make the marriage work. When Lewis and Charles clashed, she sided in favor of her husband and had her son sent to school in Terre Haute in Indiana, a Catholic school for wayward boys. So she turned, not only she was getting the man to help him, but when he would go against the son, she turned on son. So that made him really start hating women then. Now she sent him away to a wayward house, and we know how that go. Charles hated it, telling Kathleen it was a torture chamber. So on top of all the other stuff, that's why I say it was he set up, you know. So it was a torture chamber and running away shortly after his return. So he ran away, doing the same steps she did. Kathleen knew he was lying and immediately sent him back. For the rest of his teens, Charles was sheltered among a variety of reform schools. So then he started going to juvenile detention centers and state jails. He ran away sometimes with other boys, often steal cars and get caught soon after, always bearing the brunt of the charges, even though he rarely acted alone. Each time he got sentenced, he was remained to a more severe and frightening place. So it just got worse and worse. But at age 20, he was finally released in the care of Aunt Glenna and Uncle Bill. And just months later, he married his first wife, Rosalie Wills. It was 1955, and by summer, Rosie was pregnant. So he got married. Meanwhile, Kathleen moved to California and Charles talked about relocating. That July, he stole a 53 Mercury and drove west with Rosalie. The couple stayed with Kathleen in Los Angeles. Charlie found menial work to earn money, and Rosalie was getting closer to her due date. He phoned his cousin back in West Virginia to Joanne later that summer to brag about his good fortune out west. A week later, a cop checked out the license plates on the stolen Mercury and arrested Manson. So it goes. The Manson family story to the story. Okay. Charlie spent 1956, 1970, 67 in several West Coast prisons. So he was gone 7, 8, 9, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11 years. Yeah, 6, 7, 8, 9, 60 away in jail. So he was 11 years in jail this time, uh, on charges of mail tampering, check fraud, pimping, auto theft, and pardon revocation. So he was pimping, whatever, whatever. Okay. During these years, Rosanna left him and took their son, Charles Manson Jr., with her back to West Virginia. During one stint of freedom, Charlie started pimping in Los Angeles, and one of his prostitutes was named Charlie and gave birth to a son. So he had two sons by a prostitute. Charles Luther Manson while he was incarcerated. Wait a minute. Charles started pimping in Los Angeles, and one of his prostitutes also married Charlie. So his second marriage. While he was incarcerated. 1961, Charlie was transferred to Island Penitentiary in Washington State, and sad for her son, who had lost so much time already, moved to Washington to be close to her, and took a waitressing job, vowing to stand by her boy. Okay, so both of them was kind of. It didn't last. She and Lewis adopted a daughter, a girl they later renamed Nancy after her mother. And when they divorced, Kathleen married for a third time to Gail Stanley, a Navy vet who owned a tire company. The family lived in Spokane, and Kathleen stopped visiting Charlie. In 1967, Charlie was free and living in San Francisco. He began to collect young people around him, a collection of family. Clearly, his own biological family had failed to provide a stable and nurturing support system for him, and he was relying upon others to create a family more suited to his needs. He and several young women were traveling around the West Coast on an old school bus they painted black. On at least two occasions, the group drove north to Washington State so Charlie could reconnect with his mother. On the first trip, he could not locate her but had better luck on the second visit. Sadly, it was a short, bittersweet reunion, with Kathleen hiding her daughter from the scuffled older brother who showed up on her doorstep. We didn't believe that mother and son saw each other again. In late 1969, Charlie was arrested along with several other members of his so-called family for a murder of 9 people committed that summer, killings that happened at his orders to serve a delusional and malefic plan to start a global race war that would ultimately put him into power. When Kathleen learned about her son's involvement in murder, she was horrified but perhaps not shocked. Asked about whether he had an unhappy, abusive childhood, Kathleen said no. In fact, the problem was quite the opposite. She claimed she overindulged him out of guilt for the time she was away in jail when he was a child. I think that made him overconfident. He never had to take a fall, not till he was a grown man. Everything just was handed to him, I admitted. Girl, come on now. Charlie always had a way of blaming others for his woes. His followers established music executives who wouldn't give him a lucrative contract. Law enforcement, prison administrators, and even his own mother. Everyone was to blame except the man who had been diagnosed with an antisocial personality disorder. Some psychopaths are made, but some are born through no fault of their parents or upbringing. We didn't know the answer to that exactly made Charles think he was more worthy of life than others. But he never reconciled with his mother, who died just 2 years after Charles was sentenced for his crime. And Kathleen failed to get the opportunity to show the world that she didn't create a monster. She died of a brain hemorrhage on July 31st, 19 Washington. She was 55 years old. Now, do y'all see that blame thing that she didn't even admit that things that happened to her affected him? Now he could have went down the true path, could have went down another way. True. I'm not here to judge or anything, but it was just just some little history that they wanted you to know. So I should have named this love and put that. So, oh, the heat wave. Um, the heat wave so hot when she was 6 months pregnant with him. So hot, like a magnifying glass was beaming. People were dying. Child got in pools, but water got too hot. No air confronted. Um, People were falling on the streets, dying. Cars trying to get cool, dying. Parks, whatever. She was 6 months pregnant. Procter and Gamble was founded. William Procter, candle maker. So they was founded during that time. Where they was working. It was popular in Cincinnati, Ohio. Black businesses, railroad. I read that before. Um, I wanted to see his birth chart. What is Charles Manson's birth chart? His sun in Scorpio, moon in Aquarius, Mercury in Scorpio, Venus in Scorpio, Mars in Virgo, Jupiter in Scorpio, Saturn in Aquarius, Uranus in Aries, Neptune in Virgo, Pluto in Cancer, Chiron in Gemini, and Lilith in Leo, True Node in Aquarius. His ascendant was Taurus. So we got Scorpio, his opposite Taurus, being his ascendant, the moon in Aquarius, Mercury in Scorpio, Venus in Scorpio. So this is a badass chart. Of course, he was going to be controlled. And then that heat wave. So the planetary alignment had a lot to do with it as well. And his north node was, what did I say, an Aquarius. So he was going to be rebellious. He has Aquarius twice, 3 times. Think out the box. That's why he was able to control with the Virgo, Mars, they Virgos usually tell on themselves in a sort of way, and very stubborn, and that Taurus was very stubborn as well. It's almost like a don't care attitude, but he do care because he got that Gemini and his Chiron. Gemini and Chiron.
According to Ryan Hart, Chiron in Gemini means that the native is intellectual with a strong interest in the arts. Communicative with others through writing and speaking, they may be very well educated in their field of choice.
They are quick thinkers and have the ability to understand complicated issues as well as integral detail. Chiron and Gemini, the wound of words. The Chiron and Gemini wound comes tendency to really affect an individual's schooling, career, and social self-esteem. The need to discover and heal the wound can be extremely strong because of how impactful his wound is. If you have Chiron and Gemini, look to the house to see where the wound will show itself and look at this article in terms of that house. The Chiron Gemini wound comes from feeling unintelligent, stupid, and unable to properly communicate. This can manifest in a variety of ways, but always feels the same inside. At their core, someone with Chiron and Gemini will feel different from others due to communication and intelligence. This can be due to moving to a foreign country or speaking the language, a speech impediment, social anxiety, a lisp, a learning disability, not having education as a child, or the individual being told that he or she simply wasn't intelligent. Sometimes a person with Chiron and Gemini just can't communicate the ideas in their head to others in a way that makes sense or sounds the same. Chiron and Gemini individual might also communicate in a way that's not acceptable for the time period. For instance, they may think in emotions and pictures, but be surrounded by those who think scientifically or communicate through music instead of words. He did have a band. Okay. Yeah. So all of this is to heal yourself so you can heal your children within the womb. How to heal the wound of intelligence. Chiron is about lessons and teaching. When we understand what our weaknesses are, we can outgrow the pain and become stronger. With the help of Chiron wounds we will carry, we can learn to heal and push above and beyond what we consider to be our limits. Though it may seem contradictory, Chiron is here to help us get better and excel further in life. The moment we are born, our most painful scars are shown through the placement of Chiron in our chart. Looking at this planet, we are able to identify which areas of our life need healing and where we are the most vulnerable. If your Chiron is in Gemini, this article is for you. Stay with us as we are discovering the purpose of Chiron and to heal yourself. The wound of intelligence. The wounds that come from feeling unintelligent and unfitting. If Gemini is the most social intelligent and the fastest learning sign of the zodiac, Chiron in Gemini is the complete opposite of that. To find Chiron in Gemini indicates that these are the most problematic and weak areas for you. The pain you feel often comes from the constant feeling of being unable to fit in your surroundings or by being different from others due to communication and intelligence. The pain of feeling less smart than everyone else around you. This Chiron wound can cause enormous pain and destroy your self confidence. It can have a huge impact on the way you communicate, behave, and think. Although every Chiron placement is important, Chiron in Gemini has a tendency to severely affect individuals' education, career, and social self esteem. You might think that everybody else around you is more intelligent and capable than you are. This can make you either put people on this pedestal or make you pull back and isolate yourself from everyone around you, thinking you are unable to fit in. These Chiron wounds can come from an early age if someone used to say about you that you were not smart enough or you were being compared to your older sibling in a negative manner. You might have to do with your parents not being able to give you proper education, or you have moved and lived in a surrounding where a foreign language you didn't speak or understand. Painful and difficult expression of your feelings, thoughts, and ideas. Chiron and Gemini cause you to be unable to communicate clearly. Vocalizing your personal opinions is not something that comes naturally to you. In fact, you tend to get social anxiety, fear of public speaking, and your mind freezes when people get silent to hear you. The conscience of having Chiron and Gemini is you being socially awkward at times and communicating in a way that's perhaps not acceptable for the occasion. It is quite common for people with Chiron and Gemini to have a speech impairment, a stutter or lisp, or a learning disability. These are the Chiron wounds that person carries since their birth. It is important to discover the roots of their pain so they can heal the wound and finally be able to freely express themselves in an open and truthful manner. Your pain can make you become a diversive and scornful person. After a while, when people with Chiron and Gemini refuse to face their pain and heal it, it can make them bitter, arrogant, clinical, and even abusive towards others. Well, that's what he turned to right there. Okay. Because they were unable to fit in or felt unrelated. Now they feel repellent towards successful people. So mocking them makes them feel better about themselves. So that's why they went to abuse Sharon Tate and people like her because they felt not superior enough. Okay. So, was not we're not justifying it at all. I'm trying to put this down right quick. CHI. Okay. Uh, 1 minute. Okay. Da, 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 da. Two more. Yeah. Okay. I'm feeling it. Okay. Now they feel repelling. Okay. When in company, okay, that would say people who got it together, they feel insignificant. So they tend to do things. Afraid to speak the truth. Another one for Chiron and Gemini comes from fear to speak the truth. Usually you choose the easy way out or tell people what they want to hear instead of speaking the truth. This can be a serious blockage toward building healthy and meaningful relationships, as the key ingredient, honesty, is simply something you are not able to give. The reason why you feel this way can likely come from a past experience where you were mocked or taunted because you spoke the truth. Now you are too afraid of not being accepted if you have different views and beliefs, so you choose to mirror people and support their vision of the truth. How to heal Chiron and Gemini. If you have Chiron and Gemini, your healing is about accepting yourself and believing in yourself. It is not an easy task and it will take courage and time. Outgrowing a Chiron wound can be a lifetime process. Society might not appreciate your uniqueness, intelligence, or your communication skills, but it is okay to be different. In the universe, your skills are recognized and you have them for a reason. Realizing this would help you to turn your Chiron wound into a healing gifts. Chiron healing gifts. Chiron is your vulnerability and your weaknesses. But once you accept it and heal the pain caused by it, then that is when it becomes your strength and your healing gift. Now, what once was your biggest fear and suffering is something you offer as a gift to the world and what helps you become the best version of yourself. Communication through art, music, or emotions. Many great artists, writers, painters, inventors are genius people have Chiron and Gemini, and with the help of this small planet, they had created a blissful future for themselves. Tap into your brilliance of your mind by embracing your uniqueness and following your intuition. Speaking always the truth will set you free and become your Chiron gift. It is time to live a life where you would acknowledge your talents and use them for good. You need to follow your intuition and your gut. Trust in yourself, as that is the only way to access these special abilities with possesses. You possess it, so I'm sorry. Special abilities you possesses. A candle loses nothing but lighting another candle. We can't help everyone, but everyone can help someone. You know how to support people and be truly happy for their success. Thousands of candles can be lit from a single candle, and the shine of the candle won't be lost. Hello. You are the person who knows that best because of your Chiron healing gift. Okay. So, yeah, maybe that helps someone else with this placement so you won't go off on a binge and be lost like that as well. I wanted to put that love, starting from the root. That was so fantastic. Before birth, Charles Manson Scorpio. Oh, you know what I want to add up since his mama time added up till the same thing when she was born. Let's see if he is add up as well, because he died in the same month that he lived. That was something. Let me see. Yeah, put his date of birth. Yeah. I didn't put the time that he passed away though. I don't see it. Just curious, George. What was the dates that Charles Manson passed away?
November 19th, 2017. According to Wikipedia, Charles Mills Manson, name Maddox, November 12th, 1934 to
Let's see
November
if it
19th,
equals to the same
2017,
thing.
was an American criminal and musician.
Um, so November is the eighth month plus 12. 10 is equals 11, right? And 1934 is 10 plus 7 equals 8. And then he died 8 plus 19, 10 equals 9. Is that what that is? 10, 17, 18. Yeah, 9. And then 27, 8, 9, 10 equals 10. Okay, so 8, 9, 10. Okay, first 8. He wasn't like his mama. She ended up with 11. Same thing she was born with. Here's 8. Oh, wait a minute, I'm tripping. 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, that's right. 10, 8 plus 19 is 9, 10. 8 plus 2, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11. So you got 8, 9, 10, 11. Interesting. 8, 9, 10, 11. I doubt if that means anything. What is the numerology of 8, 9, 10, 11? I'm not sure I'm asking the right question. Nah. 11 is a master number. 8, authority, self-confidence, inner strength, inner wisdom, social status, ego. At the same time, has to love for humanity and desire for peace. And then we got 9, the last of the single-digit numbers, which are known as the cardinal numbers in numerology, and the highest in value. The number 9 shows you lived and learned. You're engaged with living your life in a meaningful, conscious manner, and you're setting rewarding goals. Number 10. What does the number 10 mean? The number 10 represents the keyword energies, fresh new beginnings, leadership, and innovation. What is his life path number? Let's see, we got 8 plus 12 equals 11 plus 19, 12 equals 21 plus 3 and 4. 28. So his life path number is number 10. I think that's right. 11, 12, 21. Yeah. Life path number 10 is a number of creation. It is known to be source of energy and a beginning, which you can see through the strengths and personality traits of the number 10. Interesting. All right, y'all. I'm bored, y'all know. Like, subscribe, share, and comment. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Maze, for coming. This is what they had me doing, so it is what it is. Okay. All right. Love y'all. Like, subscribe, share, and comment.